The Assembly of State Parties to the Rome Statute started earlier today at the International Criminal Court. The conference, which will run for the next 8 days, will, among other issues, seek to a way forward in the case against President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto. Now, the signatories to the statute will discuss proposed amendments, including one by the African states seeking immunity for sitting heads of states and their deputies. They will also be seeking to have President Kenyatta attend his upcoming trial proceedings via video link. This comes after the United Nations Security Council shot down a resolution by the African Union to have Kenyatta and Ruto's ICC cases suspended. The AU has expressed optimism that the amendment will garner a 2/3 majority support at the state assembly parties. But to help us understand exactly what is happening, we now join live from Parliament buildings by senior reporter Rita Tinina, who will paint a clearer picture of exactly the events today and how they will impact Kenya's presence at the ICC. Good afternoon, Rita.
Well, good afternoon to you, Bonnie, from Parliament buildings, where members of Parliament may this afternoon discuss a special motion, or if you like, an emergency motion touching on the ICC cases before The Hague in relation to one of Kenya's development partners, that is the United Kingdom, and the ongoing state parties meeting in The Hague. The background to this, Bonnie, is that yesterday the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Ndung'u Githinji said that he had information that Britain was planning to change the agenda of the state parties meeting in a manner that would disadvantage Kenya. And so, as is required of parliamentary procedure, he gave his request of a special motion to the Speaker. The Speaker assessed that request for issues of constitutionality and granted that request by Ndung'u Githinji. And so today what is required of Ndung'u Githinji is for him to come before the floor of the House and present his notice of motion. If it is approved, then members of Parliament will discuss that special motion, or emergency motion, if you like. And the argument by the likes of Ndung'u Githinji, Boni, like you mentioned earlier, there are several amendments before the state parties meeting. One of them is by Kenya seeking immunity from prosecution for sitting heads of state and government for genocide, war against humanity, and I beg your pardon, genocide, war against humanity and war crimes. So Ndung'u Githinji is arguing that with two proposals, one by Kenya on immunity and the other one by the United Kingdom on video conferencing of the trials, he argues that both amendments touch on the same issue, that is the Kenyan cases. And so if more countries then choose to go with Britain, then Kenya may be disadvantaged. Remember, Article 112 of the Rome Statute states that decisions at the conference of the Assembly of State Parties will be reached by consensus. But if consensus cannot be reached, then a 2/3 majority will be required for any amendment to sail through. Kenya is sending a very high-powered delegation to that Assembly of State Parties meeting, led by, among others, Attorney General Githu Muigai. And before he left for the meeting, he was very optimistic that Kenya's amendment will sail through. Remember, the AU is backing Kenya, but the AU is not a party, is not a member individually to the state parties conference. And so individual countries sponsor amendments. So Kenya is sponsoring the amendment on immunity, backed by the AU, of course. Britain also sponsoring the amendment on the presence of
Rita, allow me to jump in. Rita, why has Parliament thought it as urgent to adjourn to deliberate on the ICC matter today?
Well, the argument by Ndung'u Githinji is that Britain, which may turn out to be an unlikely ally for Kenya. Remember, Britain was one of the 8 countries that abstained at the UN Security Council meeting, thereby frustrating Kenya's request for a deferral of the cases against President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto. And so Ndung'u Githinji, in fact, ordinarily, Parliament does not discuss issues to do with its development partners. But yesterday, the Speaker granting Ndung'u's request was a one-off. And so this afternoon we'll wait to hear what exactly Ndung'u Githinji, what issues he has with Britain and the status of the Kenyan cases before the International Criminal Court. So this is indeed a first for Parliament, where members of Parliament will be sitting to discuss the conduct of its development partners. Bonnie.
And Rita, as an FYI, what powers does Parliament have in order to push the immunity agenda at the ICC at all?
Well, Parliament from here in Kenya basically no powers at all. The issue is how the Kenyan delegation that has gone to the state parties meeting will manage to convince other parties, other countries that are members to the state parties conference, how well it will manage to convince them to back its amendment. Remember, it's a consensus issue here, but if consensus fails, then Kenya, out of the 122 countries that are state parties to the Rome Statute, remember, Kenya will need a 2/3 majority, but first they will try a consensus. If consensus fails, then they will have to vote, and Kenya will need to garner a 2/3 majority. Bonnie.
All right, Rita Tinina, many thanks for bringing us to speed with what is happening at Parliament today. And of course, just on the backdrop of the state parties meeting of the ICC that is set to, amongst other things, look at Kenya's plea to have the trials for the President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto adjourned. We also have a proposal by the UK to have the two attend trial via video link. As and when that happens, and whatever decisions will be made will be brought to you via KTN as and when we receive it.